hustle. We will have all of the holiday puns today for you, but beyond that, insights on how you can manage Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So, seasonal sales induce a bit of stress, but we brought the industry experts. I'd like to say the trifecta here today to speak to you about how you can get ahead of your competition. I'm Samantha Brown, partnerships at Finale Inventory. Finale Inventory is your omni-channel inventory management tool. And my speakers, Ollie and Richie, are going to introduce themselves next.
I'll go next, just by picture
Yeah.
order here. Hey everyone, Ali Babel. I'm the chief evangelist at Trellis. Trellis is a demand generation platform, so we work with advertising, pricing, promotions, content, AMC, DSP, all the fun things to drive your revenue on Amazon.
All right, I guess it's me next. So I'm Richie. I'm the Vice President of Marketing at Levanta. And if you're new to Levanta, we are an affiliate marketing platform built for brands that sell on Amazon.
Okay.
All right. So, what are we here to talk about today? So, when you walk into Black Friday, Cyber Monday, as a seller, there's a lot of planning that goes into it so that you don't fall behind in 2025. We have a variety of topics to cover today from marketing, pricing, inventory, and operations. And we want this to be really interactive. So if you guys would like to type in the chat, send us Q&As throughout, help us guide our conversation to best serve you and what you're interested in it. So let's kick it off, team. How do you strategize for Black Friday, Cyber Monday? What is top of mind?
Oh, there's so much. We can hit it in so many different ways here, but I think obviously there's a forecasting, there's an inventory perspective, but what are your strategies going into it, right? Like understanding the amount of impressions that you're seeing, like browsing versus shopping, and like the actual consumer journey, right? And I think if we actually look inward as people ourselves and how we buy, that actually will help inform a lot of your strategies as well when you're going after customers, when you're looking at this holiday season. It's like, well, I know I'm a last minute shopper, and so I'm getting in like that like second last week of our second week of December there normally, and so Richie expected around then. But it's when you look at consumers and how they think about it and how you see yourselves and people around you think about it, you want to really lean into that and then create your strategy around that too. So your own personal experiences will actually give you a lot of confidence as to, or give you a lot of information as to how to create your own strategies too, and how people around you buy as well. It's all of our, not all of our first holiday seasons either in that regard, right? So I think it's to start somewhere is to think about how you shop, think about how the people around you shop, what they shop for, and what they're buying for, and then applying that and saying, well, how should I attract my customer? How should I go to my customer as a result of that? Which I think we'll get into a lot of as we keep going.
I love the customer-centric mindset. I think I always lean on the opposite side of business focus, and I need to have more of that customer-centric mindset. I will say, as you enter the season and how you meet the customer, thinking on the back end, though, for the business, what are your business goals? Do you have excess inventory? Are you looking for high revenue? Are you really focusing down on like profit this season? And then what are your business goals for concluding 2024, but also entering the 2025 year? Do you have a new product launch? Like, what is on the horizon for you? And then positioning that towards the customer.
Yeah, that's an
Absolutely. And even
interesting.
looking at, oh, I'm
Go ahead.
sorry. I
Go ahead. Go ahead.
But I even think from the marketing side, it's also looking at your channel mix, seeing what's actually working for you and who you're trying to target for this upcoming season. And there's a lot of brands, specifically in a new report that came out from Modern Retail, about 52% of brands are really trying to target new audiences versus their current customers. And so you want to really think about how do you reach those audience, whether that's through paid media like traditional PPC, display, video, etc., but then some new novel channels for marketplace type sellers like affiliate marketing, which can do a lot for you, especially when you're looking at conversion rate lift and also looking at where you're going to reach those new audiences that may not be on the .coms of those marketplaces.
Do you think that approach changes based on category?
I think it can. Every category is unique, but also think about every product within that category is unique as well. So, for example, you might take something like weighted blankets this year will definitely be doing very well during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, during the winter holidays versus perhaps summer products like beach balls and beachwear, right? So, definitely, I think that does impact it. But then there are also a lot of products that do very well with creators. So, think maybe more Instagrammable products. So, for example, Prime Day, we this last Prime Day in October, beauty was the top performer in sales and conversion rate with creators, and that means that highly Instagrammable, highly sought after by big publishers as well. But I can't necessarily speak maybe on the PPC side. I think Ali, you could definitely speak better to that than I can.
Yeah, I think going into it and understanding what is your approach, right? Like the new customers, right? That to your point, that what was it, 52%? Looking at
Mhm.
new audiences. Well, one, how do you actually evaluate that right now, right? What data do you have around your repeat purchase rate versus new to brand? So if you are looking at a strategy around that and looking at it from a PPC perspective, then yes, definitely go upper funnel and start looking at that top of search and getting in front of audiences at the right time. But the other part of that is actually like it's AMC and Amazon Marketing Cloud has a lot of this data around, well, what is my new to brand? What is my repeat purchase? So knowing that what it is today and saying, hey, I actually want to create or grow by 10%. I want these are my best sellers. I want to get in front of more new to brand customers. I want my sales to go up by X amount you can start crafting your strategy based on a baseline of what it is today, right? And then you're able to see, did I actually attain those results, right? Because every strategy, every idea, everything that we want to do, PPC, influencer, even planning your inventory for that matter as well, comes down to, well, can I measure the efficacy of it, and what is my baseline of where I'm trying to go more of, right? And so Amazon Marketing Cloud will give you a lot of clarity towards that and kind of give you a lot of perspective there. But with PPC as a whole and coming into it and saying with new audiences, you really want to start thinking about that today because people are browsing now, right? The deal days that came up, I think it was Walmart was a couple weeks ago. Amazon Prime Big Deal Days, the same kind of thing, right? People started browsing more so during these deal days with their purchases ultimately culminating and coming in the next few weeks, right? Into that as BFCM being a big high, like obviously we're talking about that now, but that's the biggest point where people will buy. And then again, leading into that a bit further. So thinking about getting in front of your customers today and leveraging advertising to drive those window shoppers and to capture those window shoppers, get that market share or that brain share in front of them, you can really start to attain some of those goals, whether it be new to brand or getting rid of some of the excess inventory that you're talking about there, Samantha, too, and making sure you're getting an effective approach towards that.
I like the data-driven perspective. I often hear from sellers that having a strategy feels too big or too cumbersome when they're already just putting out fires on a daily basis. And I'd like to echo that use data as a strategy, but maybe focus that strategy on specific subset of SKUs with those business goals. Like maybe you have three products that are really good at pulling in new audiences, and then look at that shopping cart that's typically with that SKU and create your strategy around that small subset. Because ultimately, being strategic, whether it's your full catalog or a tenth of your catalog, is going to put you ahead rather than putting your hands up and being like, we'll see what happens. Let's let the cards lie.
Yeah, like at this point, for brands that are running and have been running, there are 20% of your product drives 80% of your revenue, right? We know that to be true. We know what that is. And so planning at a subset to your point there, Samantha, is actually really accurate, right? It makes it a lot easier, makes it more palatable, but it's also you're not going to get your lowest selling product as the one that's driving your new to brand growth. Right? It's that's not really gonna that logically won't play out either way. It really is saying, well, my best sellers and the ones that consumers love the most from me are actually the ones that your new to brand are going to get in front of, right? And so focusing your strategies around at the very least your best sellers is really the entry point into holiday hustle, into the holiday season. I'm going to say hustle a few different times here because I really like the title of this one. But it's how do you and hustling during that is really carving that out, saying these are my best sellers. I'm going to create an advertising strategy that supports this, right? Or I'm going to leverage this as a loss leader, and then I'm going to come back to AMC on this because AMC gives you that data around, and well, specifically with what we do, and we combine a lot of retail analytics there as well, but knowing that there's one product that is the gateway product that gets people into my brand, and then they buy other stuff after. You can win in BFCM with your best sellers on that approach, do a loss leader strategy on a pricing perspective, or give it a higher coupon because you know you could get additional purchases later on as well, right? So your best sellers are the key for your holiday hustle for that matter. And really, at the very least, planning for those will drive a lot of success for you in the holiday season and then follow on success for the overall brand coming into Q1 as well.
And as you're doing
Yeah,
that
and there's a
oh, go ahead, Richie. No, go
I'm
ahead.
so sorry. Light latency issue on my connection. I'm so sorry about that. But what's interesting too are a lot of consumers are more willing to try out new brands and products during the holiday season than they would traditionally be open to during the rest of the year. And so with that, you have a couple good points there, Ali, like around, offer some promotions for sure to get them in the door. But I do caution folks, especially more premium brands, to be just be cautious on how much of a deep discount you give, because I think short term your units sold will be fairly high, right? Because you're offering a deep discount, but that can actually potentially bite you in the behind into the new year because you're only attracting those deal seekers versus people that are really loyal and are willing to do repeat purchases throughout the rest of the year. So something to be aware of. I don't have a perfect formula. I think every brand product category, it's going to be very unique. But Ali, I don't know if you have any formulas or anything that you've experienced in the past with that, because you're way more expert at pricing than I am.
No, no, no. I think from the pricing standpoint, you're right, right? That how do we acquire a customer, not make a sale is the question, right? And shifting our mindset and thinking about it in that perspective. And that's exactly what you're saying there, Richie, is that, okay, if I'm discounting to make a sale, I'll win today. But did I do anything for me for the future? Am I just that customer came in and left the same veil, right? And so the formula towards what your discount is really what your strategy is, right? It comes back to what is my goal for this holiday season? If I want to move more units, I want to clear out inventory was one of the other perspectives there as well for I'm launching a new SKU coming into the new year or a new version of this product too, right? These are really the opportunities for you to get these in front there. And so is there a right formula for determining what your promotional strategy is or your coupon or how much discount you're willing to offer? The answer to that question is as simple as everything it depends. But it's having the data to be able to inform that. And all of us have goals, right? Like we all have as brands, we all know that in BFCM, I need to increase my sales by X amount, right? We have KPIs that we're all driving towards as e-commerce sellers, right? So it's like, what is that goal? And how do I skin that backwards? That's when you start figuring out, well, I need to move this many number of units in order for me to get there. And if I do this discount, I'm never getting to that revenue goal, right? So the promotional approach towards it is um, less about a specific product. It's more about where am I trying to attain here? What's my top level strength or top level goal that I'm trying to attain? And then how do I leverage? Like I would go in with your best sellers always. I actually talk about this often, where it's like your top product that gets the most repeat purchases in your book. Let's push that. Let's make sure we get that into people's hands. We know everyone loves it. We know everyone likes it, and so I'd be willing to take a lot. Like I don't think you should ever take a loss, but a larger discount on that, right? That the more I can discount this, the more competitive it is on the shelf, the more competitive it is when I'm running top of funnel keywords for new customer acquisition, and getting people familiar with it to actually get them coming back for more. And so there's no direct answer, but happy to. I think Sam will share my content vision. Happy to talk about this with anyone after and look at it specifically for their context.
Definitely. I like the perspective of there's no specific answer on the promotion side. And maybe it's not always just pricing promotions. Bundles is one of my favorite strategies for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, because it really helps the brand awareness and pull in customers that you can raise up that average order volume where they were already a loyal customer, but suddenly they're now a loyal customer spending so much more with you throughout the entirety of the year because you just gave them that extra product. Um,
Yeah, I
And
love that. Go ahead, Richie.
one challenge with, from my knowledge of Amazon recently, I don't know if this is quite true for other RMNs or retail media networks, but they've create a little bit more restrictions around bundling. So from the D2C side, I think that's excellent. On site, you own that traffic, you own that data, the first party data, but just be aware of some of the restrictions that some of those RMNs might have. And I think there was a recent post about it. I forgot who the poster was on this. I have to go look it up, but they were mentioning some of the changes that were announced recently around bundling specifically on Amazon. So be wary, at least on D2C side, have fun. On the Amazon side, be aware of their requirements as well.
Yeah, and the sole goal of bundling, right? Like again, every platform, every marketplace is going to have their own nuance towards it. But the sole goal, to your point there, Samantha, is average order value, right? If I can get that up, get them a couple products as well, not just one, right? The holiday bundles are like the best. I've seen this across beauty. I've seen this across I've seen this actually almost in every single category, where there's always this like, we're putting an extra bag in there, and then there's virtual bundles as well on the Amazon side there. But where you start playing is that if I can increase my average order value and it costs me less to acquire them, I'm actually just becoming more and more profitable, right? I'm getting more and more profit from the every sale that I have. And ultimately, if I can increase my lifetime value of a customer while decreasing how much it costs me to get that customer, and increasing my average order value as a strategy towards doing that, you win, right? More profitability, more opportunity to get customer growth and increase repeat purchase perspectives there as well. So it's I genuinely like bundles for the holiday season. People are often willing to spend a little bit more. Like one of the things I buy for everyone is this scratch map of like the world, and you can scratch off the countries you've gone to, and it's the best white elephant gift. And if you don't have it yet for any parties coming up, definitely recommend it. But I am a loyal customer to them, exclusively to that brand, exclusively on the holiday season, right? And they had a bundle going up for Prime Deal days there, and I bought like a 3-pack, right? But it because I'm like, okay, I really like this product. I'm buying more. It's something that's like my go-to, and I'm laughing because this is people know me as giving this gift as part of the white elephant whenever they pull it out. But it's like my go-to. But I just bought three. Did I click on ad? Probably. Did I not? Not sure. But I bought three of them. They were able to sell more of their product, increase their profit line along the way.
For anyone on the webinar right now, Caroline is dropping some really great resources in the chat about that bundling update on Amazon and bonus promotional strategies. So as you listen, feel free to click in those links.
Yeah. Thanks, Caroline.
Caroline's got her back. Well, as we go further down pricing, I always want to caution, think about competitive analysis, not only for the terms of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, but running competitive analysis early and often leading up. Oh, we lost Richie for a moment. That's
He'll, he'll be
okay.
he'll be back.
He'll be back.
I
Yes,
think he's trying to find the scratch map that I was talking about.
he's traveling the world for us.
Yeah, yeah. There he is.
I'm back. Internet went down.
Woo! Yeah, we're talking competitive analysis. And that's something you really need to be leveraging as you run those promotions. And we are in a new world of seasonality as we have these October deal days and Prime days times two, but using those seasonal sales as the benchmark as you entered into Black Friday, Cyber Monday. What were your competitors doing with their promotional strategy can often inform what they're going to be doing and how you can get ahead.
Yeah. Uh, yes, in short. Richie, I'll let you jump in here. I know you just came back.
Yeah. I think specifically more on where are they placing their products in terms of promotions, right? And looking at their channel mix. A lot of the times they're going to sell through social platforms like TikTok, Instagram, et cetera, but they may also be partnering with different types of creators. And when I say creators, that could be publishers, so think like CNN, Wirecutter, BuzzFeed, to large long tail bloggers, to your traditional creators you would find on a TikTok or an Instagram doing their hauls, media buyers, as well as traditional affiliates, and even Facebook mommy groups, which really promote these deals that you might see on Amazon. And one of the things that has been tactically very interesting that we've seen is that gift guides are going to be huge this year. And I think like 50% of marketers are looking at gift guides. So keep an eye out for those and make sure you're tracking everything from from that perspective and see how you perform. But I think that's one really good way to definitely see how your competitors are placing their products through what channels, and who they might be partnering with, because you can always potentially offer a higher commission, and that influencer, that affiliate, that creator will be more willing to promote your product versus your competitor. So sometimes you can outprice or outbid your competitors in one way or another.
That's an interesting, actually, I really like that at the end of the day, like it's if you know who is pushing your products, like to your point there, Richie, it doesn't mean that you can't use the same vehicle, right? And I think that people often think that, well, if they're doing it, you know what, they're banned from my book. I don't want it. Like they work with my competitors, right? Like but it doesn't actually make any you know, it's just ego at that point, right? But the logical path is saying, well, why don't I actually get them to work to work with me, pay a little bit more because that's the right audience for me, right? And that's really what we're all trying to do here, whether it be influencer or it be like advertising or pricing and kind of my space towards it. And then I know, and there's you're trying to get your product in front of the audience and your buying audience as much as you possibly can. And there are no barriers to that, right? It's just
None.
right research, right technology, and the right mindset to go after it.
You're absolutely right. And even look at these, what I call creators as an umbrella statement of all the other types of affiliates that I mentioned. They're trying to monetize their audiences, their properties, whatnot, and they're going to take the highest dollar. Now, there will be various types of influencers out there that will strike exclusivity-based deals. And there are other ones that are like really value-based. And that's important. You will find folks out there like that. And they will want to partner with you in different capacities, whether that's on a performance model where you're paying a CPS, CPA, so cost per acquisition or cost per sale model. So that's low risk to you as a brand versus the affiliate where you're only paying out when a sale happens through a commission model. And then you could also partner with them on a cost per click where you're just really focused on driving traffic to your, in this case, your Amazon listing. And there's other ways you can drive the similar affiliate traffic on other platforms to your D2C site or other marketplaces. And then there are flat rate models. But at the end of the day, I highly recommend track everything. It doesn't matter if it's a flat rate and you want to just create brand awareness. I think the more KPIs and the more data that you have where you can convert that from just data to insights, then you can actually get into action. And that can inform next year's BFCM or what's your Q1 strategy on keeping that momentum up, which I know is very hard for a lot of folks. So just some comments around that when it comes to like working with creators.
I love that comment about using this year's Black Friday, Cyber Monday as the case study for next year's strategy. Uh, we often feel Black Friday, Cyber Monday creeps up on us, and then we're too late to put many of those plans we wanted to put into action. So anything you think, oh, that would have been the best move for my bottom line, write it down, track it, and then put it into action in 2025 and start that planning early. But also don't be afraid right now. If you hear something today, you can still change your plans for Black Friday, Cyber Monday up until the last minute. I know many promotions have to be rolled out early, but there are virtual things you can change ad hoc, gaining new partnerships. They are still available.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think that I think some of the fallacies or some of the things that exist around like, hey, well, I need to get a promotional. Yeah, that all makes sense, right? All these things that there's timelines for and deadlines for. But it doesn't mean that the ship has sailed by any means, right? Like even what is a promotion other than a change in price? Right? That's sufficiently all it is, right? Can I leverage strike through pricing during this time period to also get the same impact? Maybe I don't have the badge. Fine, right? But is there an opportunity for me that I can actually capitalize on to say, well, I want to do this now. I actually think that this bestseller conversation was super impactful to me. I want to go ahead and get ahead of that. From a pricing standpoint, that's one element, or pricing and promo standpoint, but even from an advertising standpoint, revisiting that and saying, well, how am I getting in front of shoppers, right? That there's enough data that exists now to say that this is a peak time where impressions are only going up. Like we're in a very big window shopping season, right? With all the sales really starting on BFCM and then picking up till about December 16th. But we're on October 23rd, right? BFCM's in 6 weeks, give or take, 5 weeks, give or take, right? you have lots of time to get in front of your customers. You have lots of time to get in front of the right audience for you. You have lots of time to actually create or augment your advertising strategies and your go-to-market strategies for the holiday hustle. And all you have to do is hustle and figure it out in the next, like, few weeks. But you have time to get in front of your customers, to get those eyeballs, to get those impressions, to get those potential clicks right now, that will ultimately drive conversions for you on these buying days, on these buying seasons, right? So it's never too late. But it's imperative to know and be reactive, but then also be proactive, right? So Sam, to your point, writing these things down, saying, hey, these are things I want to try next year. Like, I ask brands this all the time. Do you have a consolidated list of ideas that you've heard that you want to try at some point? Right? Because this is we everyone talks, everyone gives a good nugget, right? But how do you track that? How do you go to a conference, you walk away with 10 things, you really only action one, right? It happens all the time, but how do you keep track of the things that you want to do to improve your brand, to improve your go-to-market, to improve how you manage and plan your inventory, how you manage and plan your influencers? It really becomes imperative. Just have a list. Can I do this? Can I do this now? Can we enable this? And you're always trying to chip away every quarter at, can let me try this strategy out now. Let me try a new strategy as well. And so it isn't too late, but don't lose sight of the nuggets. Don't lose sight of the tips and tricks that you learn along the way and hear from other sellers.
I would actually even add to that, like if you're working with an agency partner, technology partner, or you have an in-house team executing these things, don't hesitate to standardize this feedback loop and go to every group and ask for their professional feedback on what they would want to see different if they were to run that same campaign again the next year. They're the experts, right? They are the experts. And on the affiliate influencer side, I would even go as far as reaching out to your top performing affiliates at the end of the holiday season and ask for their candid feedback. Hey, is there some more enablement materials that we could have gotten you? What do you feel like the commissions were good enough? Were your EPC, which is a creator specific KPI, which stands for earnings per click. They look at those numbers and how are your earnings per click this year? And that helps for a creator side, that helps them better understand the efficacy of their content. Is it helping drive the conversion? But also remember, the actual conversion part of making a purchase, is your product listing on any said marketplace optimized? Is it relevant and matching what the content is being promoted on by the creator, right? There's all these factors that go into that. So again, go back, do a SWOT analysis if you want to call it, a gap analysis, whatever you want to call it. Make your own. There's no perfect version. Don't kill yourself in getting too much into the details, but at least have some ideas. And I think that's important at the very least because we forget things. I forgot what I had for dinner last night. So, imagine 6, 8 months from now.
You made that statement, and then I had to think about what I ate for dinner last night, and I couldn't actually tell you. Um, I was like, we're
Yeah,
cut from the same cloth, Richie.
that's amazing. I love how you guys talk so much about this ability to be nimble and proactive, but also reactive. And we look at Black Friday, Cyber Monday as like an event, but it's really a 4-day event. It's
Mhm.
long and there's a lot of nuances throughout those 4 days. And so the reactivity can also come into place of changing your strategy throughout the event, depending on how your sales go. So just looking at inventory perspective, do you go out of stock on something and then do you need to sub in products with different strategies in that place? Like, do you have a creator that needs a bonus offer? Um, if you need to change fulfillment strategies, if you need to change up pricing because something is just not moving the way you thought it would, being nimble on the spot during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you must be present and open to changing that strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think that if you're looking at it throughout the day and how you're progressing, right? That like I know even for us, like we have war rooms, and we're kind of like we're pushing it there because the last thing you want to do is run out of budget, right? Like it's if I'm just gonna set up my BFCM and just hang out for 4 days, I'm actually leaving money on the table. I'm actually leaving opportunity on the table. Is there a way for me to double down on things that are working or not working? And when are you doing those checks? Like for brands that I talk to, they're checking every 3 hours, for example, or every 2 hours, right? Depending on the sales velocity of their products and the categories they're in. And saying, okay, well, this is what the data is showing me. What can I do now? Right? And am I actually driving more sales or less sales than what I expected, right? And so if you're going into this BFCM, and a lot of you in retailers start like there's like the Cyber Monday week now. Like I remember seeing that last year. But people kind of start going a little bit longer than that. So what's your when you're going into that, what's your approach towards optimizations during that tentpole event? Right? What's the way I'm going to be looking at that the Cyber Five? Thanks, Caroline. You're just dropping knowledge here, Caroline. But what's your way of actually understanding and your framework towards making sure that you have the ability to be reactive, so that you aren't running out of budget on those days that you're and Richard, you can probably talk to this from the influencer side and the opportunity there. But not running out of budget, that you're priced effectively, that your inventory is actually supporting your advertising as well, right? That if I'm running out of stock on Saturday of this BFCM weekend here, should I pull back my spend a little bit? Right? Maybe I should drive my price just a little bit higher, right? That I don't want to get the low inventory fees. I dread the no stock scenario here for my listing. So maybe I should pull that back, right? And that's kind of the idea of what's my framework for attacking tentpole events, for being able to react to tentpole events. What KPIs am I looking at the various different points throughout that day? And what is my ability to effectively react, right? So what is the budget I have available to me for an ad spend? What are the tactics that I have? So you know really quickly that I can spend 3 hours analyzing this data, but now I've lost 3 hours, right? Time in market is more important than time out of market. And so what are the KPIs I'm looking at? What does it need to hit for me to do X and Y? And so build that framework, build that decision tree so that when you are in these tentpole events, when you are in BFCM, you know exactly what you're doing next, not figuring it out. You know what I mean?
Some excellent points there. And you mentioned on the influencer affiliate side, that side's interesting because if you're working on a CPA model, you're not too worried about budget because you're guaranteed to sell,
Mhm.
or you're only going to pay out when you're guaranteed to sell. So you're not too worried about that. But if a return happens, that will be all optimized in whatever tracking solution you're using. Maybe it's Levanta plug. But with that said, but with that said, also have a backup plan to Ollie's point about, okay, if I have a cohort of influencers promoting said product, it goes out of inventory. What's your secondary product? Maybe you have an ASIN if you're on Amazon, or a SKU if you're on other marketplaces. What are the secondary products that then I can activate? And how do I actively communicate to them? And so you might do email DMs on their IG. But again, if you're using tools like Levanta or any other affiliate platform, you could just DM them directly, send it at mass, and boom, right? And you're moving quickly, you're being nimble. And to your point about how frequent are you checking these things? I recommend, I'm an hourly person. If I'm running any type of paid campaign, I'm on the B2B side. I can only imagine what ecom looks like. I have mad respect for ecom merchants and brands. But again, you just constantly check, just have a pulse on what's going on constantly. You never know. You might have accidentally deleted a zero from the price. You never know.
Yeah, it's those are always the ones you see. And I get those like messages like buy now, it's on like someone made a mistake.
Yeah.
Right. And so hopefully that's not anyone here, but to that effect, right? It's a matter of understanding again, this is the goal, this is what I'm going for, this is my approach towards it. Now I'm actually here. What do I do when X, Y, and Z happen? And again, this isn't our first BFCM. I imagine for a lot of people on the call, this is num like we're getting double digits potentially here too, but things that could happen, right? And there are certain things you can plan for, certain things you can't. But again, pulling your data sets together, saying these are the KPIs I'm looking at, only looking at this, will really make it a lot easier to manage and palette versus just this hair pulling stress that I hear from brands during BFCM, right? Where it's like, I don't know what to do. This just happened. I don't got to figure this out now. And like, we can slow it down and actually have a really strong approach and conscientious approach towards solving some of these things, especially as we're going through it.
I'd also like to
My,
say,
sorry,
you're
Samantha, go
good.
ahead.
I would say plan for some of these things to happen. Like there are going to be some of these events, like you go out of stock, like what is your backup plan? And also setting guardrails in place. For the inventory side of things, like do you need to purchase extra storage? Do you need to diversify your fulfillment? Do you need to set guardrails in place where you allocate specific stock for only specific channels? You can do that in advance. Maybe it's not something you need year round, but for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you can never be too cautious. And then having the right support on the back end Whether as a seller, if your team can't handle Black Friday, Cyber Monday on your own, you can bring in agency support.
Yeah.
You have a really good point there, Samantha, like around bringing help in where you may not have those resources. And I know for a lot of folks, like working with any type of partner, especially service-based partners, when you see that sticker price, you're like, whoa. But then when you look at the value that comes out of it, it could be super positive for your organization. And you might even take some learnings that then you can apply in-house going forward. And even like on our side, what we find is that some of the best performing affiliate programs are generally managed by affiliate or Amazon agencies for many reasons, because they're working with a breadth and depth of clients that are diversified across a portfolio. And also, like any channel, it takes work, right? You can't just set it and forget it. Like Ali said, you can't just be like, all right, let's see where we want to go and let's set it and set a bid and let's hope that we get some sales while I go make some matcha tea, right? So no, you got to really manage those programs. And again, having someone to support you in that capacity, even for that short period of time, can be super helpful.
Yeah, I think anytime you're looking at your own business and you say there are e-com sellers that are really familiar with their product, and that's really what they want to sell their product, or they wanted to build their product and get in front of people. And then you start saying, okay, well, what am I not good at? Right? And being true to yourself and understanding that I don't really know this. I think I know this, but I don't really know this. And I do this to myself almost every day. I'm kind of checking myself between like I have a have a get shit done attitude. I can figure out anything. I'll be able to do it. But there is a level of trueness that I have to have with myself of like, what are my capabilities? Right? And what do I actually have the time for? Right? Like can I account and leverage QuickBooks as to the best of my abilities for everything that I need to do? Absolutely. Does it bring me any joy? No. Do I ever do file everything properly on time in the time that I'm supposed to? Absolutely not. And so really, all it's telling me is that yes, I can do it, but it doesn't mean I don't enjoy doing it, but maybe I should get some help for it. Right. And so that's often the scenario that you're in. When you don't like doing something, you'll push it out. Right. And so if you're sitting here and like, you know what, I don't have a BFCM plan. And I know I need it and I have some ideas around it, but I haven't done it and it doesn't bring you joy, it doesn't bring you any of these elements that actually help drive your business forward, get help. Find someone else, right? Ask an agency, ask other players, ask people. Ask the three of us. We'll put you in touch with the right people if we need to as well, right? But don't be coy and think that you're the only one who can do it for your brand, and you can do it for yourself. Where that's not always true. And there are people out there. There are people who are always happy to support the three of us included, in so many different ways. It's a matter of finding your tribe, finding the people that you leverage, the people that you go to help, right? And things cost money. It is what it is, right? So I think to your point there, Richie, it's really important to go out. It's really important to look inward to actually then be able to go and be better during your holiday season, and the active hustle is being able to recognize this as well.
See that as an investment in your business and your
Yeah.
growth. And it's not just an investment in people to help you, but softwares as well. Because often we think, oh, I can do that on my own. But sometimes the software helps you gain the efficiency so that you can shift your focus to those bigger growth levers.
Yeah, and that's such a big driver, right? Like look at the amount of data signals we can look at for everything that all three of us do, right? And now as a brand, I'm sitting here leveraging all three of our platforms. Let's go with, but the world that we play in, like e-commerce, very much started as a or commerce very much started as like I'm gonna get my product, I'm gonna make really nice packaging, I'm gonna get it in the right shelf, in the right retailer, and things are gonna be good. Insert e-commerce where we have a lot more data, we have a lot more information as to who's buying what, where, the amount of impressions you have. We can figure out your market share. We can figure out your repeat purchase rate. We can figure out all these things. And the where we're headed is actually more down this path of like of algorithmic commerce, right? And so my phone is smarter than me, right? My phone tells me where I need to be in the next little bit, right? I use a calculator more than I do mental math now, right? It's as things are changing and where we're changing to the productivity gains and what was only used to be available to enterprise sellers and these really and the world's biggest brands is changing, right? That AI actually levels the playing field for you. Technology levels the playing field for you. And so if you're still doing it manually, good luck. But there is an element here where technology will make your life easier. That's the truest definition of the word, is tools to make humans' lives easier. And when you're looking at the definition of technology, and so leveraging that is only imperative today because there's only more and more data coming our way, whether it be from Amazon or your Walmart or any marketplace or your D2C. How do I leverage that data, make the right decisions? And also continue to drive growth for my business as well. And so technology is here to play, is here to stay. AI is actually a big part of the path of the future, but commerce is really driving towards this algorithmic commerce concept where it's algorithms that are going to be making these decisions because of the immense number of data signals that are there, right? And so it's definitely to double down on that, technology is your friend. Technology will make it easier. Technology will actually help you stay ahead of these curves versus being reactive all the time as well.
I love that. It makes me think a lot about forecasting and pricing. Like technology, do not do that manually.
Yeah.
Any bit of technology you can use with your forecasting and your pricing, use it. Because I promise you, the amount of data points you can touch is exponential in a technical model. Um, Historical data no longer is going to be the baseline.
But even pulling all the data together, like if you were to actually collate all of the relevant reports, collate all of the things that you look at through like Seller Central or ads, like I was actually talking to a brand earlier today, um, and I met them at Accelerate, and they literally have their 25 million. They have a whole team of people populating their KPI spreadsheet from all the different reports and putting that all together. We're in October. They just finished August, right? So it's just to now this is the immense lag time. So now again, like now you're making decisions based on their BFCM planning was based on data from July, right? Like it's that's some of the pain points that exist as a result of that, right? So when it comes down to it, bringing all these things together or bringing all the data signals together, you can't. How do you forecast without that? How do you forecast without that information? Right, even from a pricing standpoint, right? That the truest element of understanding pricing is knowing the relationship of demand and profit at every price point, right? Because then from there, I can say, well, if I know that, and I know, let's go with even my A costs at every price point, I can truly mathematically plan based on an input that I know what my A cost is. So if I put in my input is dollars, right? Ad spend dollars. I know what my A cost is. This is my price point. This is how many units I'll sell. And this is what I should expect from a successful BFCM, right? Like there's so many elements towards that. Now, if I can do that even earlier, I can start planning towards how I order my inventory. I can start planning towards, okay, well, I'm gonna have this is a new product that I have, or I have excess of this. I'm gonna call Richie. I'm gonna get some influencers on the phone, and we're gonna start pushing this product a little bit earlier when people are window shopping and browsing as well, right? So having the right data in the right place, and then active gives you the ability to actively forecast as you drive forward and determine your price strategy, your influencer strategy, your advertising strategy, determines how you want to look at your inventory for that matter as well. So it's forecasting is an imperative part of being an e-commerce seller, and it often feels like we're just guessing, but we don't have to. We just don't have to. It's you don't need to anymore.
Data, insights, action. That's the framework I highly recommend, whether you're like myself in B2B, B2C, your personal life, if you've got all types of trackers in your house, data, insights, and action. It's a good place to start for sure.
I used to do,
Real-time data. Real-time data. That's all I can emphasize. It might be the argument against spreadsheets here, but if you can have live data, night and day.
Yes, especially in timely stuff like ecom.
yeah.
That's so important.
Hey, I mean, Amazon and as it relates to inventory, gosh, if you are tracking in a spreadsheet, like that's where you're going to hit so many walls and think something somewhere where it is definitely not. Not good.
Well,
Not good.
can only imagine.
Yeah, just don't. Just talking about finale and how the forecasting side of the inventory there.
Yeah. So Finale uses a variety of different inputs. And one of the most important inputs is we're also using lead time from suppliers, storage allotment, you name it, to tell you when you need to repurchase. And then we can do all of your repurchasing in Finale. So you're not having to, you can do your repurchase ordering and transfer orders to Amazon in Finale. And that way you're all holistically in one system running your operations. So
There you go.
very helpful. And then you can come into Amazon and make educated pricing and marketing decisions rather than basing those off of some shaky foundations.
Yeah, I think I like I'm gonna double down and ask you another question here because I'm kind of
Yeah.
curious about this as well. But how do you like brands that you work with? How do they think about the holiday season and the allocation of their inventory across different channels?
I think one of the most important things is channel prioritization.
Mhm.
Where is it most important you're successful for Black Friday, Cyber Monday? Often we hear DTC, Amazon. There are some players that are going to have some brick and mortar stores that they need to be prioritizing. TikTok is one of those channels you want to put guardrails up against. You don't want your full inventory allotment to be able to touch by TikTok because something goes viral, you could wreck the rest of your channels and your entire strategy. So, channel prioritization.
Interesting.
Not even
Isn't
think
is it?
about that.
Yeah, it's the right guardrails. Virality is such an interesting piece where it's what everyone wants, but whenever it happens, it's like it's just a big fire as well, right?
Yeah.
Like you have nothing left. You don't know when you're gonna get back in. Did I miss the window? So how do you factor that in?
Well, then also knowing your true cogs, like getting understanding like truly the cost of doing business for those SKUs.
And let alone like your contribution margin then as a result of that, how much you want to spend on advertising, right? Like if we take that bottoms up approach of like these are what my cogs are, and everyone takes this pricing strategy approach of like this like one third, one third, one third, right? That my cost it costs me this is how much it costs me. I'm gonna add in my overhead and I'm gonna have hopefully, 20-30% margin there as a result of that. But this cost plus pricing approach, if you know what your cogs are, you know what they are accurately, you know what your margin is, leveraging dynamic pricing to find your optimal price or to make sure that your products are priced optimally in market every single day and you're not having to rework that analysis. You're not having to rethink about, okay, my competitor did this. It's a matter of making sure that you can maintain the sales velocity or even try to increase it or whatever your strategy is. But dynamic pricing is such a strong vehicle, especially when you have your COGS and you have your margin intact to tell it, this is my min, this is my max, play within this area, and I just want to drive the right price every single day. And it's all about that. It's all about figuring that out because we don't really know, right? We as consumers or we as brand owners are like, hey, like I'm gonna just price it at this is my cost plus, and I think that's right. But what the consumer is willing to pay for your product, what a shopper is willing to pay for your product, is what it's worth, right? It's what it's worth to them. And so finding the optimal price in market, leveraging dynamic pricing, um, again, once you have your COGS, you can do that a lot better and a lot more meaningfully, is really going to drive performance for you, really drive more profitability, but ultimately drive your business objective and your business goal, all the stuff we were talking about earlier as well. So I'd highly recommend it.
Well, we are coming up on time. I know you guys have lots of planning for the holiday season to be doing, so I want to open up some Q&A. If there's something that was interesting to you or pressing on your mind that you have for Richie, Ollie, and myself, sh- go ahead and enter in the chat or in the questions. Let us know.
Right.
Hmm.
While people are feverishly typing. Do you both have your lists put together what you're buying for this season?
No, I actually got a little anxiety thinking that I have to buy gifts now. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, shoot, I should start thinking about that like now.
I often wonder, is it the list that makes you purchase, or is it the Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales that channels you're purchasing?
So me personally, I don't really participate in Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I just don't know why.
Right.
I will say this. My mom called me, when was this? I think it was September. And she was like, what do you want for Christmas? And I was like, Mom, it's not even Halloween yet. What? And I'm like, are you getting ready for Prime Day? And she was like, no, what's that? And I was like, oh my gosh, mom.
What?
So I
Yeah.
don't know. My mom's already planning way in advance. I'm like, socks, underwear is cool with me as an adult. I'm just like, get me the
Oh,
basics.
yeah, we my mom actually booked in the day we're having family Christmas in at the end of like I think it was mid-September. It's like, hey everyone, this is the day Christmas is going to be, and I was like, Mom, we're not even into Q4 yet. And then, but I also realized if I like tell my mom like, Mom, we're on Q4. She's like, that doesn't mean anything to me.
What is it?
Ah,
It just doesn't mean anything to me.
Quiznos? I'm just kidding. My mom.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. We
At
do
the
have a
very least.
question.
All right.
It is categories to prioritize for promotion.
Ooh, categories in terms of like product category.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, definitely don't be promoting like your summer beach products for sure during the holidays. I mean, unless you're trying to, but I'll let you all kind of take that one from here.
Well,
Just
I've always believed that to be true. It's like, okay, well, why are you advertising summer? But what's interesting is that a lot of these products, like there was it was there's actually like toilet seat covers, like toilet seat covers for kids. Um,
Mhm. I'm
and
familiar,
yeah, and
fortunately.
their best season is middle of November through middle of December. Right? Where because of the holidays that people take over the Christmas season, right? And so Richie, I had a very similar perspective to you, and I'm like seeing more and more categories over the last years where I'm like, this product shouldn't do well over the holiday season. It doesn't really make any sense. But people are buying. People start shopping for their. People take those holiday breaks, or they go somewhere warm, or whatever it may be. And so when it comes from for me, from my perspective, I actually think that there isn't a category that doesn't sell on effective. This could be a hot take as well. But because we buy for gifts and we buy for gifts for our friends, our family, hell, even I buy gifts for my neighbors every year. Right. And then also we're hosting our Friendsgiving this year. So I'm buying a bunch of holiday decoration, right. Entertaining stuff like kitchen, home, like all these things I truly believe that coming down to how you position your brand in your category, the creative that you use, leverage Gen AI to create topical ad creative as well. I don't believe that there is a category that is not effective on BFCM or you can't position your product effectively on BFCM because everyone's buying for so many reasons as well. So I'm agnostic. All categories win. Just figure out how you want to.
I like to look
yeah,
at it with the lens of promote the categories you can win against your competitors.
mm,
Ooh.
Like
it's a great idea.
play the game you're strong at. Don't enter the game like I have no hand-eye coordination. I am not signing up for a soccer league, and I know that about myself. It is okay.
Yeah. I think you need foot-eye coordination for a soccer league, but I
I
hear you.
said it.
I got the point.
I
I got the
immediately
point.
thought it, and I was like, maybe no one will notice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Hand-eye
no.
and foot-eye. It's all the same. I have none of it. But yeah,
Yeah.
play the game that you know that you're gonna win, and then really double down in those specific categories.
Yeah. It makes sense, right? Which categories your best sellers are in. You know they're your best sellers. It's your best foot forward, right? But category every brand in every category I think has an opportunity here. It's a matter of how you perceive it, how you strategize towards it.
Perfect. Well, we're gonna round it out here with some webinar gifts. Now that we're doing the gift giving of the season, to start that out, we have Levanta. Richie, what do you have?
Yeah. So we are offering 20% off of our gold plan for new customers only. And our gold plan is our meal to appearance plan. And it does come at a 1-year contract. But if you at least want to connect with our mastermind affiliate managers that understand that ecosystem, just feel free to reach out to us. And I think we'll share a link with the follow-up and you can meet with our team, ask questions, look at the platform, etc. But we are offering 20% off our gold plan for new customers. And that's on the SaaS fee, by the way, just heads up.
All right. Um,
Trellis.
I'll go next. So from our standpoint, We across the board, right? How you're looking at your holiday season, how you're looking at your need of brand acquisition. A lot of the things we talked about today, whether it be AMC advertising, pricing, what we're looking at and offering to all the fine folks here today who are ready to hustle, we're happy to look at that data with you, right? A lot of times, again, I think what we talked about here today, that people don't know what they don't know. How do we help unlock the opportunities that we see from our standpoint? And to Richie's point of working with hundreds of brands, seeing their tentpole events, seeing their BFCM, seeing Prime Days, and bringing that knowledge towards your book as well. So our perspective and what we're looking at is saying, hey, let's actually look at your account, let's look at your ads, let's see what the opportunities exist for you, and make sure you're set up for BFCM.
I
I'll just
love
give
it.
you the key.
And I love, we said go get help, and now we're saying there's free help. Free help,
Yeah.
best help.
Yeah.
Um, Finale Inventory, we do have a free 2-week trial always for new customers. So more free help, please take it. And then if you enjoy the software, 15% off your first 3 months of subscription. We are a month-to-month model, so you can really see that value firsthand. But a lot of really wonderful webinar gifts. We will be sending this recording out via email, and there will be some more information about these and how to get in touch there. I will give one bonus gift. We have one more Q&A that just came through. It is, would you recommend using data from things like Prime Big Deal Days or Prime Day to inform your Cyber 5 strategies? Alrighty. What do you guys think?
So just off the bat, Prime Day, which is in July for those are unfamiliar, and Prime Big Deal Days. It's a mouthful. I got to get used to that saying. I think they're very distinctive holiday, like buying seasons, I guess you can call it. And clearly July, it's summertime, and that's going to be really fueled by a lot of opportunities for steep discounts if you offer them. I would air that Prime Big Deal Days would be, since it's closer to the holidays, you could pull some of that data and use some of that to inform your strategy, but I wouldn't necessarily have it build out your entire strategy. I would actually recommend looking at last year's Black Friday and Cyber Monday, which you could say is the primary holiday shopping season. And then I would look at Prime Big Deal Days, which is in October or around that general timeframe year to year, as an extension and also supplementary. So I wouldn't necessarily lean on just those data cohorts, but look at also the same time frame last year.
Yeah, I think that for any tentpole event, I look at all of these as tentpole events, right? These are all various different types of ones. They all happen at different times of the year. The buying impetus for a lot of people is different at various times of the year. BFCM often is more heavily discounted. A lot of brands trying to get rid of their products that they have, launching new ones of in January. Like think electronics and CES coming up and that kind of world. And so when you start thinking about all these as one individual, one grouping of tentpole events, there is things that you can look at across each one of these that will inform your strategies for Cyber 5. I think as it was asked there as well, right? Whether it be your sales pattern analysis, how people abandoned your cart or bought your products as well. Because there are some things that are going to be ubiquitous or similar when you look at BFCM, but the point that Rich made there is apt as well. It is a different buying season. Why people are buying is a little bit different. The deal shoppers are the same, right? So there's going to be a big part of that that's going to exist, right? So leverage that data, build on that data, but more importantly, we'll look at your BFCM data from last year too, which you do have access to. You do see, do that analysis, but overall, I'd recommend using it to inform your strategies and then tailoring it for the time of year that BFCM is happening at and why people are buying.
And next year you'll have the gap analysis or the SWOT analysis. So you can add that on top of that.
There you go. The world's your oyster. Forget BFCM 2024, everyone. BFCM 2025. The holiday hustle starts now.
Data,
Don't-
insights, action. People
Yeah,
are
yeah.
leaving this webinar very merry, but potentially with a very large plan in place. I love it. Thank you guys for joining us. This has been wonderful. Again, you will receive an email from yours truly very soon with this webinar recording. And if you have any more questions, reach out to the team. We're always here to help support our sellers.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.